Hi everyone. My article of choice today goes into detail on how a higher diet quality in university students is associated with higher academic achievement. This article can be found in the Journal of Human Nutrition and Dietetics.
It is from 2019 and it was done by Waltnow, Patterson, Burrows, and Hutchinson.
These four researchers came together and did a cross-sectional study on students from the University of Newcastle, Australia. Now, a quick background that gives a bit of reasoning to why they chose to conduct this research. We know that school can get stressful during different time periods. With that, students tend to have an unhealthy diet because the last thing they want to do is cook a healthy and nutritious meal. This, however, was thought to be affecting not only their health, but their grades overall. Considering that, these researchers came together to give us data that aims to describe the association between the two. I have also found two other articles that also support the idea that a healthy diet leads to a successful GPA. I specifically look for articles that didn't talk about university students because at the end of the day, those are not only the type of students we have. Both of them used the cross-sectional analysis method. One used children from 5 to 18 years old, whereas the other used students from Eastern Morocco. The most obvious thing that all three have in common is that students' diet does in fact affect their school performances. Now, to get into the university research, they chose to do a cross-sectional type of analysis, which is a type of observational research and quantitative, meaning they were looking for numbers. This was also done through an online survey of 278 students. As mentioned before, the focus group was the students from the University of Newcastle, Australia. The mean of the age of those 278 students was 26.9 years, and they were asked to record the usual intake of food for 3 to 6 months. They were asked to go into very specific details when reporting their intakes. This was due to their method of measurements. Each food item had a certain amount of points. The maximum amount of points that you can get at the end of the day was 73. Just an example, it was fruit was 12 points, meat was 7 points, cereal were 13 points, and so on. Just for a little more detail on the students, most of them turned out to be females, equaling 71% of them. 27% were males, and 2% of those students were of another gender identity. It is also important to note that 11% of them owned their own house. 37% lived in their parents' house. 7% were on campus. 43% were renting. 1% was boarding, and the other 1% was irregular. This information is very important because we know that it is easier to have a cleaner and healthier diet when you have someone cooking for you, when compared to having to take care of yourself. Lastly on this topic is that a mean of 10.4 of those students live off to their own working money, whereas 71% receive financial support. On account of all that information, the results came clear that having a healthy diet does contribute to a better GPA. The researchers state that the higher GPA scores were associated with higher Australian recommended food score and a higher scores on the subscales of vegetables, fruits, and the right consuming level for both non-meat, flesh, protein foods, breads, and cereals. In addition to that, they were also related to having a lower percentage shown for energy per day from the energy-dense nutrient poor.
A lower percentage of energy per day from the sweetened drinks and fried takeaway food subgroups. The higher GPAs were associated with being a postgraduate student and those that receive financial help. An important takeaway from this research is how important the intakes of nutrients are. As a student in the nutrition and science course, we have learned how essential it is to get all nutrients and vitamins in for many benefits it brings. Some of those benefits being having the energy for your activities, such as studying, nourishment for our brains, which is essential for us to learn, and it also helps with stress. It helps prevent memory loss so we can learn better and actually understand our topics. It helps with our blood pressure and many more.